That ring, you bought it with the money I gave you last winter, didn't you? The check I sent while I was healing after surgery when you said the heater broke. You gave her a trip on a ship and gave me leftovers and fake kindness.
Why are you doing this right now? It's not always about you, Mom. Everyone's finally smiling and getting along. You just hate it when you're not the one telling the story.
You used my emergency money for her. I found the bill when I was going through tax papers, the same money we hid after you lost the house. Go ahead, tell everyone at the table how much that fake flower really cost.
You said it was a gift. Gifts don't come with rules. We thought you wanted calm. You always act like you don't want anyone looking at you.
The restaurant is filled with small sounds and awkward laughter, but there's a cold feeling at the table covered with a white cloth. A fake flower sits limp next to a half-full glass of champagne. A waiter stops while pouring, then slowly steps back as the silence grows heavier. One cousin plays with her napkin. Another keeps staring at her plate. The diamond ring on Patricia's hand catches the light and flashes across the table, like a light showing what's not fair. Colleen's sweater is soft but old, and takes in the light without shining. Oilia won't look at her mom, but her hand is clenched under the table. And under the table, Colleen taps her fingers twice. Once to be sure, and once to say goodbye.
You think I forgot? I remember holding you in that yellow chair, humming songs through tired teeth, then dragging myself to a desk covered in unpaid bills and old candle wax. I wrote your dinner plan for tomorrow, next to a list of people I had to call, those cold calls I made while folding laundry at midnight. I used to tape your mittens to your sleeves so you wouldn't lose them on the way to school. Then I came home and tried not to cry when my card got declined again. I couldn't afford to be soft. I had to survive and deal with bank fees. When you were sick, I cleaned up, held your hair, then worked all night just to pay for your medicine. Every birthday cake came from coupons, and every gift I gave you was something I didn't get for myself. I built that business quietly so you could sleep safe. You say I wasn't soft, but soft doesn't last in times like that. You wanted love that felt gentle, but mine paid the bills. You never saw that side of me. You were always working. That's what I remember. Meetings, your laptop, and grocery lists stuck to your computer screen. I remember the quiet during breakfast, how you looked past me in the car mirror like your mind was already thinking about the next problem. I didn't hear lullabies, I saw receipts. You wore stress like a heavy coat, and I learned not to bother you too much. You were in the room, yes, but you didn't feel warm. Warmth wasn't free. I gave it up for school fees, for meals, for safety. Every hug I didn't give you, I was paying the power bill instead. I stayed up late learning tax rules instead of reading bedtime stories. That business was like a shield. Every person I worked with meant I could pay for your braces or buy you new dance shoes instead of used ones. Do you think I liked missing out? That I wanted to become colder? I was 29, I had just lost your dad, had a toddler, and no backup plan. I did what I thought real love looked like, keeping you safe, giving structure, and providing what you needed. I built a home with no leaks and food in the fridge. I gave you comfort, and I learned to sleep while feeling guilty. So now it's my fault that you chose to give everything up? I didn't ask for your way of survival. I just wanted the real you behind all your plans. Maybe I wasn't scared of the lights turning off. I was scared you didn't really see me. You say I never saw you, but you didn't see me either. You wrote checklists, not notes. You smiled, but I couldn't feel your heart. All I ever wanted was to be important to you, not just your task. You said I was distant because I couldn't cry and pay the bills at the same time. I remember the night the power was cut and you were too young to know why we used candles. I turned a disaster into something magical and you called it pretty. That's what I did. I covered the bad stuff so you wouldn't have to feel it. You wanted me to give you space to fall apart. But I didn't have that choice. I was too busy holding things together for you, and now you use my quiet as a weapon? That quiet kept you safe. I was the thing standing between you and everything falling apart, but I never walked away. I gave and I never asked for credit. You threw money at everything, not love. You think a fridge full of food fills someone's heart? I wanted closeness, not coupons, and every time I tried to come close to you, your tiredness pushed me back. Maybe you didn't leave, but you weren't really there either. When I needed love, you just sent another payment. No one hugged me when your dad died. I kept working through the funeral. I said thank you to people while planning who I had to pay at work. You were still little, So I hid my sadness behind more work. I raised you with one hand shaking and typed with the other hand. People brought food once, then left. I picked up the heavy stuff and never put it down. You want to talk about warmth? I learned to live without it. And maybe I forgot how to give it too. Maybe I built a strong, safe place, and you thought that meant I didn't care. Do you know what staying quiet cost me? And now you want to be thanked just for surviving? You want a prize for not being there? You weren't the only one going through hard stuff. I smiled through birthdays that felt empty. I made myself seem perfect just to get your attention when you were too tired to even look. You're not the only one with pain, Mom. You made the house strong, but it didn't feel like home. $412,000. That's how much. That's what I gave. No questions, no thank you, not even once did anyone ask if I was okay. I kept all the receipts quietly, college payments, the photographer for the wedding, the money for the house since the bank said no. I helped with the car loan when David lost his job, paid for your kids' braces, even gave the deposit for that retreat you said was for healing. I held up your life bit by bit while mine was falling apart. You never checked on me, not once. I made you dinner while I was sick with shingles and you just said I looked tired like always. I drove you to baby classes 2 days after we buried your dad, and you didn't even ask how I was that day. I spent holidays alone while you posted pictures from Bali, smiling and saying thanks to her, the woman who married into your life 2 years ago and now gets mama gifts that cost thousands. You gave her diamonds, you gave me silence, not even a call on the day he died, not even on your dad's death day.
We didn't ask because we already knew what you'd say. You'd say you were fine, just tired, or that it wasn't about you. You never showed us how to help. You acted like you had to be strong all the time. You were always in charge, so yeah, we let you be. And those things you did, yeah, they were kind, but they came with so much pressure it felt like we couldn't breathe. Every time you gave something, we felt the weight.
Pressure. I paid for David's lawyer when he almost lost the house after that business failed. I paid for baby milk and diapers when you couldn't get help from WIC. You had crazy debt on your credit cards and I paid it off without saying a word to your in-laws so they wouldn't think bad of you. I didn't even put that one on my money list because I hoped just maybe you would care about me when things got easier. I've always been your backup plan, the one who keeps you from falling. And while you smiled and told people his mom saved the day, I sat in the back writing more checks like I was just some money giver. Then you called me judgmental behind my back. You and your husband joked about me, called me a wallet with opinions. I saw those messages. Yeah, those, the ones you left on my laptop. I wasn't snooping, I saw them by accident. And still, I'm the bad guy?
You used your money to have control. You watched every little thing and called it kindness. You tried to look like the good one while keeping track of every dollar. That's not love. That's power. And don't act like finding some messages makes you the hurt one. We were blowing off steam. Everyone does that. Nobody asked you to go looking.
I wasn't looking. I saw the truth. I saw the lights go out from unpaid bills. I saw you miss birthdays and say it didn't mean anything. I caught every broken promise and held them together so your kids wouldn't notice, and I kept quiet so you wouldn't fall apart from the truth. But you know what silence turns into when people ignore it? Cement. It sets hard. I'm not mad now. I'm just finished. I made a new folder. I called it Exit Plan. It's not a warning. It's a fact. I've got nothing left to give. No more fast money apps. No more can you just. No more being the quiet helper behind your show. You want to call me cold? Fine. Call me clear. I'm stepping away.
You're just saying that. You always go big with drama, act cold, and then come back with a sad voicemail or surprise money. You'll come back like always.
I want quiet. I want a room where I don't have to be the one who fixes. I want one Mother's Day where I don't feel like garbage. I want people to say my name for me, not as some money machine. I want to be more than the one who comes running in an emergency. And now I know who I am without all this. I'm not angry, I'm not mean, I'm breathing for real without a price on it. I'm letting go of all of it, the feelings, the money, and the trying. I'm stepping away not because I stopped loving, but because I started loving myself. And this time I mean it. No more signals, no coming to the rescue. Not now. I'm stepping away, all the way.
You're bluffing again. You sound like a stranger when you get scared. But you're not done with me. You never really are. You'll come back like always.
I've set up the move for 3 contracts. The new company will reach out to you soon. It's already started, actually. The paperwork was sent in this morning. The team that handles changes knows what to do, and all the client meetings have been given to someone else. No one will ask you for approval, advice, or help. If you email them, they're legally told not to say anything. And yes, that includes Bridget's launch. I know you thought that had already been agreed on, but what you thought and what I agreed to are not the same. This didn't just happen. It's been coming for weeks, call after call, working through every little detail like pulling out threads from an old shirt. I didn't talk about it earlier, because making a fuss never helped us before. And now, they don't need anything from you.
What contracts? What are you even talking about? I told Bridget you were going to help with her launch. You said you believed in the idea when we had lunch. You can't just stop now. That was your promise, not mine.
Your ideas always come with strings, and somehow I end up holding the bag, even when I never said I would. Bridget might be talented, I'm not saying she's not, but she brings the same habits you do, expecting everything to look like teamwork while really making it all my problem. I don't have anything against her. I'm just done acting like saying I believe in something means I owe anyone anything. I've spent many years getting dragged into other people's plans, putting in time and money and still being told I was too controlling just for asking normal questions. That stops here. I'm not cutting her out, I'm just cutting the tie that messed everything up from the start. What I built will still be here when all this mess is over.
Are you really walking away now? Just like that? After everything we built, after getting clients and people involved who trusted you? Do you really get what this means for us?
It means you finally have to learn. Because I'm not going to be your safety net anymore. People can't learn to balance if someone always catches them before they fall. You were fine with me being involved until it meant you had to take responsibility too. Now that I'm gone like air instead of holding everything up, the pressure really sinks in, doesn't it? But this isn't payback. It's something that has to be done. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm just leaving. You never really saw me anyway. So now I'm disappearing from all the things you got used to taking from me.
You're punishing me. Quietly. That's worse than yelling. It feels colder. At least before you would argue. Now you just hide things and call that peace. You're not going to get forgiveness by doing this.
I'm not looking for forgiveness. I'm just finally breathing for myself. You think being quiet means I'm being mean, but it's actually how I remembered what I should expect. For too long, I thought pulling away emotionally meant I was being uncaring. But it's really the first step to healing. So no, I'm not going to react. I'm not going to change my mind. I'm moving forward one paper at a time, and I'm doing it calmly, just signing things and moving on.
You're selling, aren't you? That's what this is really about. Selling behind my back like I don't even matter. What company? Who did you even talk to? I deserve to know.
You're upset because you believed something that was never promised. The company, my company, was never meant to be passed down to you. That was just a story you told yourself, maybe because it was easier than facing the truth about what I went through to build it. You stood next to me, sure, but you never truly stood with me. You thought your name would just show up one day, that I would step aside while you got the credit, the money, and the control. You wanted the rewards without doing the work. And I let that idea go on for too long, pretending it was real in every talk, every family dinner, every time you called and asked, "What's new?" but never waited to hear the answer. I sold it, not to hurt anyone, not out of anger, but because I'm finally done thinking that being useful is the same as having worth, and if that feels like I betrayed you, maybe that says more about what kind of deal you thought we had. This ends with me.
You said we were building something for the family? You said all the work was for all of us, that the hard times had a bigger reason than just bills and taxes. I believed you. I planned birthday parties you never showed up to. I talked about you with pride whenever someone asked, because I thought what you made was ours too. I stayed close even when you were far away. And now you just cut me out? That wasn't the deal. That's throwing away all the things we did together just because you're upset. You can't rewrite everything just because you're angry.
Yes, that stuff happened. But so did the bank paperwork. The buyer walked through the place last month. All the checks came through. The name change is done. The money went into a smart trust fund that you probably wouldn't even understand. There's no company left to argue about. The sign on the door is gone. The office is quiet. The team got other job offers, and some of them took them. I signed every paper quietly and didn't tell anyone, because I didn't owe anyone that story. Not after all this. One time you said I was boring because I never took big chances. But this is the one time I finally chose myself. I signed the papers last Wednesday.
You're lying. That company was part of our safety. You wouldn't just sell it like it didn't matter. That business paid for everything. It paid for school. It paid for my wedding. It helped keep the lights on some months when nothing else worked. You wouldn't just sell your daughter's future.
I did, and I did it calmly and in silence. You never noticed because you never asked the right stuff. You called to check the bank balance, not to ask how I was doing. You stayed comfortable on the life I carefully made while saying I was controlling you. But I never had control. If I did, you would have respected at least one of my limits. You would have waited to be invited in. Instead, you broke into locked drawers and grabbed my phone like I owed it to you. And all that time you were calling me cold. No, sweetheart, I was the roof over your head. You were too busy spending what someone else worked hard to give up.
We counted on you. You knew that. You saw our lives falling apart and didn't do anything. I grew up thinking love meant showing up and never stopping. And now you want to thank you for walking out when things are hard. I made mistakes, fine. But this isn't freedom. It's just payback.
No, Oilia, if this was payback, I would have made it public. This is just me keeping things private. Do you think I never dreamed about telling everyone the truth, about sending proof to all the people who believed your sad stories? I picked silence because I don't need to win. I just need to stop losing. Losing time, losing self-respect, losing who I am every time I made myself small so you could feel bold. Real privacy is cutting someone off without making it a big scene. You think I burned the bridge, but really I just stopped building it back up every time you stepped on it. You just never thought that one day you'd be kept out.
You only had power because I needed you. That was your big moment, playing hero with your checkbook and your big size. If I needed you less, you'd have been invisible. And now, fine, you'll get your quiet, but you won't feel peace because you already know how this ends. You'll regret this when you're alone.
You didn't even show any reaction. When the guy in charge of the deal said he liked how clear my assistant was last Thursday, you just let him talk. And when I asked what he meant by that, he said it was about the timeline, the staff changes, even the account check before the transfer, all stuff we hadn't told them yet. I told him I don't have an assistant, and he laughed and said I sounded different on the phone. I didn't stop him. I let him keep talking. He said the woman sounded confident and calm, like she'd done this kind of thing a bunch of times before. I asked what number she answered from. He said it out loud. It was my home phone, the one you've had access to since Christmas. Then he said she gave her name too. Said it was nice to speak to Colleen in person. That's when I stopped him. That's when I knew. Because I know who answers my phone. I know who's been at my desk going through my folders, calling my work their own. And let me stop you before you start lying again. I've never had an assistant.
I didn't know things had gone that far. You weren't talking to me. No updates, no signs, just cold silence, like I didn't even belong in your life anymore. I only picked up the phone because it rang so many times and I knew you were cutting me out. I freaked out, okay? I didn't try to act like I was you. I just answered the phone. I didn't know who it was. I thought maybe I could get some answers, understand what was going on, stop this mess from getting worse. You were shutting us out, Mom.
You didn't just answer by chance. You were digging through papers that were clearly marked confidential deal terms. You printed my emails. You drew lines and marked things with your own pen. And when the phone rang, you acted like you were me, as if that was okay. You gave out deal details that weren't yours to give away, that you didn't even understand. Do you even know what a 72-hour hold is? Do you get how serious it is that someone heard your voice on that call? That wasn't worry. That wasn't being confused. That wasn't even being hurt. That was a serious business crime. That was pretending to be someone else, illegal, wrong, and something you can't take back. You didn't stop things from getting worse. You lit a fire in a place you had no right being in. That wasn't worry. That was stealing.
Wait. No, it wasn't like that. I didn't send anything. I didn't sign anything. I just wanted a little time to think. I didn't think it would be a big deal. I really thought that if I could slow things down, maybe you'd finally look up and talk to me before making all this final. I was trying to breathe, not destroy anything. I didn't mean to mess things up.
Slow it down. You've been slowing me down for 30 years. With your problems. With your urgent stuff. With the way you think everything I work for should go through you like I'm some faucet you never bother to thank. I saw it in the way you use my last name like it's some kind of reference. I heard it every time someone said, "Oh, she's your daughter? Makes sense, she acts like she's owed power." You really think I owe you access just because you made it through life with me? You think my work is some family handout? You've been using my name like a key to a life you didn't build. You were sitting at my desk drinking my coffee and ruining everything I've worked for. Tell me, how long have you seen me as your own ATM?
Since you stopped hugging me. Since the only congrats I got came through money transfers. You picked distance and called it support. So I learned to live with it. I gave meaning to the money because that was all you gave me when I needed real love. You got colder every year and only showed warmth when the bills came. I didn't have a mom. I had payments once a month.
Then let's call it what it really was, just sad. You saw my silence as being gone, and you saw my money as love, then blamed me for both. I gave what I could, the way I knew how. I worked my whole life in spreadsheets so your birthday cake had candles every year. And even now, right here and now, you're still asking me to choose between my pride and the story you've decided is true. I'm done. I won't explain what love looks like just to fit your version anymore. I won't say sorry for being someone who provides when all I knew was surviving. And now this silence, it's for good.
So that's it? You call me a thief and shut every door as you leave? You're going to destroy everything we had just because some of it wasn't perfect? That's not closure, that's just being mean. You're picking pride instead of growth. And you'll be sorry when you're all alone and no one's left to hear your side. No one forgives from far away.
I closed the deal at 9:41 this morning. 12 million. All clean, everything moved over, your name's not on anything. Not as an heir, not as a partner, not even as a helper. Actually, your name only shows up once, in one part that protects the new bosses from being blamed by outsiders. You can talk to your lawyer if you want, but they'll tell you the same thing. It's over. I had the money moved into a special account in my name, just mine. The company now belongs to Dunlow International. All the public records say that now. You answered a call you shouldn't have, acting like an assistant, so I hired someone to clear your name from the system. I cleaned up every mistake before it could cause problems. I also prepared a separate agreement you don't know about. It makes sure that if you ever use my name in connection to old contracts, there will be serious consequences. I'm done trying to earn respect. I've replaced that with boundaries and quiet. You once said I used money to control people. Maybe I did, but now there's no money. No way in, no ties. I'm not pulling the strings anymore. You're standing there alone because I walked away. And that wasn't an oversight.
You didn't just shut down a bank account. You ended a whole part of our lives. Maybe I made mistakes, but you treat silence like it makes you strong and noble. You think signing that deal makes you better than me? It just makes you disappear. You turned your back on your own daughter. For what? Pride. That's just ego dressed up to look nice. You always had to come out on top, and now that you have, I don't even have anything left to lose. You act like I stole something from you, but all I ever wanted was some space to breathe under you. You can't cut me off without hurting yourself too.
I took pain for you quietly. I never asked you to see it. Not in your second year of college when David left you and rent went unpaid. Not when I stayed late at work during chemo because I was scared you'd fall behind. Not when I had only $200 left in my account after paying your mortgage and your insurance early. I carried bruises nobody looked for, but I kept writing checks. I answered your late-night calls. I kept acting like your sorry was good enough. You called it keeping things together. I called it getting by. And I never cried loud enough for you to notice. But today I signed the papers, closed the chapter, and changed the locks. There's no bleeding now, Oilia. Just a scar that doesn't hurt anymore. Now I've cauterized the wound.
You're not just walking away from your company. You're walking away from me. That's what this really is, isn't it? Leaving me behind, like Dad did, like you were always scared would happen to you. You're calling this peace? It's not. It's pushing me out. You get to sit back and act like this was always going to happen, but you made it happen. You led me right up to the edge, then cut the way back. No mother should end things like this.
This isn't the end. This is letting go. You think being a mother means I have to spend my whole life tied to your problems? But I'm not your bank. I'm a person, a woman with feelings, with a past, with the right to some peace, and no, I don't owe that to you just because we're related. Not anymore. This is a legal no-contact order. Starting now, you cannot say you speak for me or my work or anything I own. I didn't write this because I hate you. I wrote it because I finally love myself enough to stop falling apart. This time, I'm not asking. I'm telling you. And I'm keeping my name for the first time since I signed it to your mess.
You really think this makes you free? All you did was make yourself a nicer-looking cage. No one's going to cheer for a mom who kicked her kid out with a pen stroke. Not even the people on your board. You'll sit in that nice big house by the lake, drink your tea, and wonder why no one calls anymore. You'll see something on the news or get a message and think, maybe it would have been worth saying yes one last time. People will see what kind of person you really are now.
They already saw it, they just kept quiet about it. I stopped saying sorry for choosing myself. I stopped bending every time you got hurt. You think I did this to erase you. I didn't, I did it to remember who I am. You spent my money like it was nothing and never even asked why I felt cold. I turned into ice just to survive the way you burned through me. So I left the fire. I found some quiet, and you can shout alone now in the silence I used to fill. Oilia, I loved you. But this was never love.
So, that's it? You pick strangers over your own kid. You hand your whole life's work to some meeting room and leave me with a goodbye letter. I don't even know what to do with this. I really thought we could still fix things. But if this is what peace costs, I hope you get something warmer from it than what's left here. Because what's left here just feels like ashes.
I read your letter while the sky was so still even the trees didn't move, and I stayed there longer than I planned because for once your words didn't take something from me, they let me rest. There used to be a time when I read your words and tried to guess how you were feeling, getting ready to answer questions you didn't ask, hoping for some kindness that only came when you wanted something. But this time it wasn't like that. You wrote like someone who knew I wasn't going to keep trying to fill the empty spaces, and somehow that made me feel calm. I don't need a teary apology or big speeches pretending to fix the past. I'm not scared of quiet anymore. I painted the kitchen yellow. I grow herbs and talk to bees because they seem to understand limits better than we ever did. The tea tastes better too. Maybe because no one is waiting for me to push through being tired just to take care of them. I used to use silence like a shield, thinking it kept me safe, but it just made me feel cut off from my own life. So now I write grocery lists on real paper, hum while I peel oranges and leave dishes in the sink without feeling bad. I don't owe anyone all my energy anymore, and I don't make deals with guilt. No one ever told me I could stop being the one who always gives, but now I'm telling myself with love, not because I have to. I spent too many years living under someone else's shadow. Now I just want to feel the sun.
I thought if I said all the right things, you'd answer your phone or maybe send a card or something. I don't really know what I was hoping. Everything feels quiet in a new way now. There's no money coming in the mail, no help that looks like kindness, and somehow that makes things feel more real. I used to think you were always one step ahead, like a quiet chess player who put money and rules and guilt into every choice. But maybe I didn't really know you. I knew your wallet, your serious face at school shows, and the envelope that always came when we were almost out of options. I knew how to need you, but I never really saw you. I used to think you pulling away meant you won some kind of fight. But now, sometimes I wake up and wonder if that was the first time you chose not to lose yourself just so I could stay afloat. I keep thinking about how you drink your tea now, not when I ask, but when it feels right for you. It seems like a small thing, but maybe that's what peace really is. I don't know you. Not really. But I think I want to.